Hey there, witchers, sorceresses, and bards. Let's make a castle. Through the power of a montage, these blocks are soon going to become Kaer Morhen, home of the witchers like Geralt, Ciri, and Vesemir. I based my design off of The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt because that was my first exposure to this fantastic fantasy realm. This castle is mysteriously missing from Thingiverse, so I jumped onto Tinkercad and started making one myself. I've been using Tinkercad quite a bit lately, like with my Red Dead build, and I get into a weirdly calm and creative flow whenever I do. I notch out all the doors, windows, stonework, and all those parts of the castle that I don't know the names of because I'm not a medieval architect. But it's all there, to the point where my castle lines up really nicely with my reference photos, except for the key difference that I'm missing the ruin and rubble. So I went back and erased and carved out those sections that I previously spent so long designing. And then I load this into my 3D printer and print it as big as I possibly can make it. It is crazy satisfying holding something like this that you designed yourself. If you'd like your own version of Kaer Morhen, I've uploaded this for free on Thingiverse, link in the description. Anyways, I printed it in gray, primed it in gray, and did a zenithal lighting effect with a lighter gray. And if you're wondering, I am in fact still colorblind, which may be the secret reason why I'm drawn towards projects like this one, and like this one. I saw that my rubble and ruin was not ruinous enough, so I went in with a pair of clippers and destroyed my model further. The Witcher world is a dirty, broken crumble of a place, and it'd be an insult to Henry Cavill, who is rolling around in the mud between filming shots, for me to make this castle look too pretty. I thought I had it all figured out, that it was all part of the grand design. No matter how much I destroyed things, the castle would only look better until I destroyed a little bit too much and ended up having to glue more than one part back on. Turns out I ruined the act of ruining things. I cut out some foam to form the terrain and shaped it around the castle, and cut out some more to form a mountainous mountain behind it too. To make the rocks look more like rocks, I used a rock. And because the temptation of destruction was too much to ignore, I also hammered away at the castle to ruin it even further. If I keep this up, I'll need to change the channel name from Scatterbrained Creations to Scatterbrained Destructions. I plastered over all the parts exposed, and while that dries, I start painting things gray. You know what Geralt always says, steel for men, dark gray for the castle shadows, light gray for the castle in sunlight, neutral gray for the rest of the castle, charcoal gray for the mountains, granite gray for the sunlit parts, and silver for monsters. But wait, plot twist. I then painted on some greens for grass. I bet you didn't see that coming. Now to add some flock, I glue it down all along the mountainside and this scene comes to life. This is always one of my favorite parts. My trick is to hit it with enough green and black washes to create a whole gradient and variation effect with the trees, and it works wonders. Also, I use these trees to hide all the tiny little imperfections that I don't want you to see. I just put a tree on top of it, and the model looks even better. Underneath that vast green forest is an even vaster treasure trove of mistakes that the world will never know. Perfect example, this tree is covering up a paint spot that was miscolored. I continue adding some flock and green paint throughout the castle to show that it's been overgrown and not really well cared for. Anyways, these little tiny broken toothpicks were going to grow up to be the scaffolds, wooden beams, and whatnot all about the castle, but ended up growing up to be failures instead. I'm not mad, just disappointed. But I did have a eureka moment, that the supports for some of my recent resin prints were basically the same size and shape I needed. So I cut those apart, spent way too long with tweezers trying to glue them into place, and then I hit it with brown paint. This elevated the project to a whole new point, where instead of those tiny imperfections I'm trying to hide, I now have tiny little details everywhere. Huts and scaffolding, supports and gates. Putting on all these parts was delicate work, and I'd love to show you the process. But unfortunately, there's always a giant blur of a hand in the way, but what I can show you instead is the footage of the final result. If you love this build as much as I do, feel free to toss a coin to your Witcher by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. I make a lot of geeky things, and if you like this video, chances are you'll like some of my other stuff too. Also, throw in the comments any ideas you have for future builds. This idea was actually suggested by YouTubers just like you. Anyways, keep your twin blades sharp and well oiled, and I'll see you next time.